Are we? Oh, wait a second. I think they were having a little bit of a buffer issue. Hold on. Guys, can you see? Everybody out there who's watching, just text and see if you can see us live.
Hi,
Okay.
Moms.
Normally I do this when I start the show with you, but today,
Uh-oh.
Judas
Uh-oh.
Priest.
Here we go.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Stefan has showed his cards.
Showed his cards. We know where it's going already. Hello, Maniacs. On January 10th, 2022, Judas Priest posted, "We are chomping at the British steel a bit to return to world touring, celebrating 50 years of Judas Priest as an even more powerful, relentless, four-piece heavy metal band with Glenn coming out on stage. Big thanks to Andy for all you've done and continue to be working in the production team on our new album. See you soon, headbangers." Then, maybe a few hours later, well, hang on, Sneap sends a statement to Blabbermouth. Sneap said, "Rob called me last Monday and said they wanted to move on as a four-piece, which I find incredibly disappointing after this amount of time, but I respect his decision as they obviously have a vision how they want this to play out. This always was a temporary situation, and like I said before, I've always helped the band any way I can, and that applies going forward also," he continued. So there you go, guys. I'm going to let Stefan, I know he's been holding it in just the past few days. It's festering, and I'm going to give the mic to Stefan just to start things off. And I know Sean Peck, we got to hold him back a little bit because I know he can't contain himself either. Stefan, you have the mic. Go ahead.
Look, this is my well-worn, well-traveled combat vest with this patch of the Judas Priest days from back when I loved them. This is, I'm a fan. First Judas Priest show, Verdun Auditorium in 1982. And this is a band I just couldn't stop staring at. It wasn't just Rob Alford's mean guy. You have, Glenn Tipton, KK Downing, owning the stage, soloing like stereo speakers. This is Judas Priest. This will always
recording in progress.
I'm going to record this.
This will always be Judas Priest. So the minute the band was down to two replacements, I said, I'll never go watch this band again. But then I went. I think they were opening for, I don't know if it was a Deep Purple tour, but anyway. And I said, wow, they can still pull it. This is incredible. Those two guitar attacks, even though they're not playing like KK and Glenn did, it works on a stage. It works. I still get into it. I cannot envision less than two guitarists dueling on stage. What this band did is embarrassing. This is not just a musical move. This is not just a business move. This is a career-ending move, a slap in the face to their most die-hard fans who put up with, weird personnel changes, from drummers, from, singer, like replacing a Rob Halford was dumb, but hey, they wanted to survive. Okay. But taking away one of the guitarists, like Chuck Norris doing fight scenes, but cut off one of his arms. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. Sorry.
All right. Okay. So,
Like
I mean, Maiden's adding guitarists, they're taking away guitarists. Sean Peck, given that you are filling in for Giles here today, I will give you the mic.
Okay, so when I first heard it, I thought it was like Sneap saying, hey man, it was fun, but I've got a bunch of records to make and I'm about to get paid big cash making these records. So, find somebody else. Then come to find out that they just call him up and dismiss him for an unknown reason. This is like Manowar losing the guitar player, no Ross the Boss. Merciful Fate getting back together, no Michael Denner. Completely absurd. Judas Priest losing Glenn and not getting KK in the band. It's such a, it just sucks so bad for the metal fans that these people can't get over their own. I mean, I'm in bands, so I'm one in here that's in a band, so I know what it's like to have squabbles with band members, but not when you're, big money making legacy acts like this. Um, you know, the Judas Priest has a history of just horrible, horrible business decisions. I've told the story before about, on the Firepower tour, one of the artists that I work with, he was asked to prepare a bunch of T-shirt designs. He made these incredible. I have them. They're incredible, and they wanted to give him like $100 each for these designs, and he's just like, "What the hell?" Well, I'm some little kid or something. But it's just, it's one. I'm a little bit on the inside from knowing some of the players.
You're fading a little bit, Sean. You're fading in your audio.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a little bit. I got a lot, some insider information, knowing some of the people that were involved in the whole Halford band and the whole Metal God Productions world and that whole thing, to see how some of those decisions were made, and then opening for Priest a couple times, dealing with their management on just that microcosm of a scale of what we went through with their management, just as some no-name opening band for them, and to see, how they roll out videos. They always look like they have no money. They always look like they're on the cheap. And, they're looking at this social media right now. There's not one person that's going, sweet, Judas Priest, a 4-piece, that's going to be awesome. There's no one saying that. The public backlash is so devastating right now. People talking about getting their money back for their tickets. Judas Priest is my favorite band, and I'm here on this show talking about a Judas Priest 4-piece. There is no, however they're going to try and spin this, there is no spin that can make any amount of sense unless they go, hey, KK Downing's coming back in the band. But we were trying to work it out, but we didn't want to say whatever. If they got another guitar player in, they could find a way to salvage the situation. The other thing about having a new guitar player in, I don't know if they didn't want Sneap or whatever, it would be something exciting for, like, oh, this new guy is playing. There would be a buzz. There would be something to talk about. There would be something new to see. But no, it's a 4-piece. It's a disaster.
All right, Perrin, and I just want to preface this before Perrin begins. We're speaking of this today because we love the band, we love the legacy of the band, and we only want the band to be successful moving forward. So, Perrin, go ahead.
Yeah, normally there's we're not unanimous on the panel, but I think in all of Judas Priest fandom, I think this is going to be pretty unanimous, because I haven't seen one person, writer, critic, fan, or otherwise, who's come out and said this is a good deal, like Sean said. And it's funny, like yesterday I had some, real life work to do. And then, my phone, I start getting a few messages here and there from people, and I kind of cut a piece of it. And I kind of thought what I was reading was kind of like some kind of a joke, or some kind of I don't know, it's not April Fool's. And then, I finish what I was doing and I go online and I read what's going on. I'm like, shit, like this is really happening. And being more of a business management type and being more on that side whenever I've worked in music, I'm like, how could a manager, like, if it was the band's idea and the band came to their manager and said, here's what we're thinking, how could any manager not say, that's what you're thinking? I mean, you're going on your 50th anniversary tour, no less. You're celebrating what you have been for the last 50 years. Like, excuse me if I'm wrong, other than maybe before Rock-a-Rolla, they were always a 2-guitar band. It's what they were known for. It's like they were one of the pioneers of the dueling axe attack sound. I mean, bands like Iron Maiden probably don't even exist if Judas Priest doesn't do what they do first. So I don't really see, I'd love to be a fly on that wall. I just don't know how that decision can be arrived at, brought to management, and having it been, cleared and okayed. It just you can't explain the inexplicable, and it just makes zero sense. I mean, it would just look weird. I've probably seen Priest 15 times in my life. So many tours, twice with Ripper, with Richie a couple, every iteration that I could have possibly seen given my age. And it would just look so weird. And I don't believe for a second, by the way, there's not going to be a ghost player behind a curtain who they're paying peanuts or something. I don't know. Or it's going to be enhanced with tapes. It's not what Priest is about. It's so wrong on so many levels. And like Sean said, there is going to be another second guitar player, maybe someone new to the fold, the way Richie was new to the fold, but fans came to love him. I wouldn't be in love with it.
That's a pretty big statement to come out and say we're now a 4-piece. Yeah. It doesn't really sound like there's going to be somebody else on stage. Yeah, right? That's a pretty big statement. It's one thing to say that Andy won't be touring with us and we're going to be looking for someone else. But to say they're a 4-piece, that's a pretty big statement.
And I thought what Sean did at the start, I thought, hey, Andy's a really in-demand producer, and he probably has a lot of projects going on, and he just can't do it. And then I thought, okay, maybe he did it on the cheap a little bit as a favor to them for the Firepower tours. And now he probably said, okay, guys, if I'm going to put my production business kind of on hold again for the next year or whatever it is, I'm going to need to make a decent wage. And maybe that's probably when they said no.
Well, maybe they were paying him on salary, right, for a whole year, and they go, well,
he's not a member. He's salaried. That's right. For sure.
He's salary, and they go, look, if you guys want to retain my services for the next year or two, and we don't know if we're going to be on tour or not, you got to pay me. So that's how it kind of ended, right?
And look, if he's saying no to work, I mean, this guy isn't probably.
But I'm different than you guys. I'm kind of like happy Andy Sneap is not there anymore because I didn't want him there in the first place.
Well, but here's the thing: I saw them twice on the Firepower tour, very early and very late. When I saw them early in the tour, on that tour of Deep Purple, Andy was a little stiff and it just seemed a little awkward. But by the time I saw them at the end of the tour in a theater in Albany, they had really homogenized, and I was thrilled with the show. I thought it was great. So if Andy stayed, I would have been fine with it. It's just, but again, I'm guessing they didn't want to pay him. And let's face it, the band's probably hemorrhaging money. They're getting there's no record. They're not selling a lot of tickets, so there's not a lot of money coming in, on the front end to finance things. So, I guess it's a lot easier to cut things 4 ways than it is to cut things 5 ways,
Of all the ways to save money,
go ahead, Stefan.
A guitar player out. I can't believe that. I cannot believe it's, we didn't want to pay another guitar player. They could get another guitar player to play for free.
Easily.
Anybody would give their left hand to play for free.
Yeah,
Easily.
I mean, you honestly think that when Ronnie James Dio hired a 17-year-old kid in 1986 that he didn't know he wouldn't have to pay more than $300 a week? We're in the same situation here. Talented journalists, talented guitarists or musicians in general who are looking at, a crack at major venues, they will work for cheap until they establish their name as viable names. I find it, I've always been against paying people below scale, but look, I don't know what the union scale is right now for the musician union, but I'm sure it can be had relatively cheap. The tickets for the show, that's something else I want to talk about. The tickets for the show are still, $75? Sure, it's not Iron Maiden's $200 ticket, but for a band that essentially is a shadow of what it once was, it remains a fair amount of money. They're not a club band. They like to claim they're still a theater, small arena band. And this is the other thing that really upsets me, is that they're announcing this while people have already paid their tickets for the current tour. Those tickets that all of us bought for the Laval show in May that was postponed last fall, we've had these tickets for months and months and months. Had I known 6 months ago when the tickets went on sale that I'd be seeing a quartet, maybe I would have said, you know what, I know a really, really good Judas Priest cover band playing in an East End bar that I would attend for much less money and
But then,
probably
but
greater
then, you've
satisfaction.
lost Sabaton, you gained Queensryche. So I mean, the tour is, to me, it's still worth it. I don't think I'd give up my ticket because Andy Sneap, who I don't really care if he was in the band or not, isn't going to be there. I don't
It's
know. Like
not,
that's just me. And I like Andy Sneap. I think he's a great producer and he's a great guitarist. But I'm just saying he's not the make it or break it for me. You know?
It's how it sounds. I mean, like I said, I'm the only guy that's in a band here. Every band I've been in has had two
Are
guitar
you
players.
saying we're not talented in our own right? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just
We have
saying,
our
like,
own band. We're putting the Metal Voice band together.
like, okay, so they're either going to play a backing track of a rhythm guitar when he plays his lead, which is going to be lame as shit if they do that. When you go, you know how it is, like, with Dokken, when George Lynch goes to do the solo, the whole thing drops out and it's just the bass going do 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 instead of a shit 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 shit. And the dynamics, the power is so greatly diminished during the solo section. Not to mention, how's Electric Eye going to sound? The Hellion going to sound with one guitar? So he's going to push his Eventide harmonizer and play the intro. That is just, it's lame on a million levels.
I don't know. Rush had one guitarist. I don't know what you're talking about. Lame. Rush has one
lame.
guitarist. One of the greatest bands ever. And you know what? He was so talented. He didn't need another
dueling guitar
guitarist.
band.
but the Rush band is the sound of a trio.
Yeah.
Rush is not a trio of musicians; it's a quintet. And
Judas
this
Priest.
is where
Judas
it
Priest, yeah.
doesn't work. If I go see Flatt and Scruggs playing banjo, and you know what? Today it's only Flatt. No, you got a problem. Same thing. If I go see the Rolling Stones and Keith Richards says, we decided
And Charlie
to go
Watts
without
is in there.
Ron
Oh,
Wood,
wait, sorry.
we're just keeping one guitarist on stage. Says, no, you can't do that.
I don't know.
If
Look at Anvil, Exciter, Voivod. There's so many bands, that have one guitarist, and they're just so talented. Those guitarists, it sounds good enough. The only band I would say that didn't work was Accept.
Disagree.
Except when they went with one guitar, Wolf, it just didn't sound great.
It depends
Because
what the
it's a
guitar players are
two-guitar
doing, though.
band.
Are the two guitar players doing the same thing, or are they doing different things? It depends how the music's constructed. Judas Priest is a band whose music is constructed for two guitars. Like, none of us have really heard what it would sound with one guitar player.
Could Eddie
We
Van
were
Halen
imagining
be
it, and
two?
we're not
Could there be
imagining
two
anything
bands
good.
with Eddie Van Halen? Just playing the other side here.
It's apples and oranges. I mean,
Apple and
this
oranges.
every time they're all the trade-off lead sections. So Faulkner's going to be doing every one. There's going to be no rhythm guitar under it. Like I said, the only thing I can see is they're going to play a backing track, a recorded guitar during it, and that is just cheese to the nth degree. I wanted to say one thing though, that this is a boost for KK's Priest though, because now people are going to go like 4-piece bail. And they're going to, some of those people that were skeptical on the KK's Priest thing can go right over and go, I got one of the original Priest guitar players still shredding it. I got 2 guitars. I got all the cool songs being performed right. This is such a miscalculation. I don't, we got to really try and get into the minds, like, what is their perspective? What are they thinking?
Is this like a new Coke blunder? Is that level of a new Coke blunder?
Yes. It's worse than
The
new
marketing
Coke
people
by
were
far.
scratching their head. I thought this would work.
But Sean just said it, guys. He said, miscalculation, mismanagement. And I was having this debate with someone today online saying, in the 80s in North America, the Priest and Maiden records and tours sold about the same. They had about the same profile, the same coverage in magazines. Maiden and Priest were on the same level. They both switched singers. They both kind of went down kind of to the same degree. And then they both did reunions. You tell me whose reunion has been more well strategized, planned out, and successful, Maiden's or Priest's, and tell me why you think that is. Because there's a gentleman named Rod Smallwood who calculated every detail with the band. We're going to do Nostalgia Tour, we're going to do Ozfest, and then we're going to capitalize right after we do Ozfest. And we're going to do Nostalgia Tour, new record tour. Nostalgia tour, new record tour. Did Priest do 30th anniversary of Defenders of the Faith tour? No. Would you have gone to that? Yeah, you probably would have. So Maiden, it was just so perfectly calculated with merch tie-ins and video game tie-ins and beer tie-ins. I mean, you could like the commercialization of music or not, but from a management standpoint, Maiden's return to the scene and reunion was textbook. It's a business case that could be in music university on how to execute a reunion. And Judas Priest's reunion is just the opposite. They did Ozfest just like Maiden did, and they could have capitalized on that. But then they kind of walked away for too long after the tour, and they didn't get any traction in the U.S. And then it was just.
All right, Stefan, I know you're itching to say something.
Yeah, so anyway,
go ahead.
But I want to continue on Perrin's point of Rod Smallwood. Maiden has. It's essentially a band of very, very intelligent people. I mean, it's not just Rod Smallwood, but Steve Harris is not an idiot. Bruce Dickinson may have a huge ego, but he's not an idiot. But when you have the combination of a great manager and a great band leader who's very intelligent, you can achieve incredible things. Now, what does Judas Priest have? Glenn Tipton and his wife. These are not the people who should be making decisions in this band, because clearly they don't know what they're doing. They're all in it for themselves. They're not in it for the fans. They're not in it for the legacy. They're not in it for the future. And I bet you something that their mistakes will cost them money, because the value of a Judas Priest concert ticket has now dropped by 40%. That is my understanding.
I find that hard to believe with Andy Sneap not being there. I don't know.
It's not Andy. It's the fact that it's just a four-piece.
Yeah. Okay, Sean, give us the economics here. I mean, how much really is it digging in their pocket to not have Andy Sneap play with them? Is it really gonna, are they gonna really go in the red here?
The last time that I went and saw Priest, the last tour, there was a freaking line of like 100 people to buy merch. So, I mean, the first 50 people would have paid Andy Sneap's weekly salary. It was the money that they made selling those lame shirts, everything they had. There wasn't one thing in their merch booth out of their 20 designs that looked cool to me. I mean, all the decisions they make, like I said, they look like they have no money. This is going to be interpreted by people as a money thing, because their damage control and their press strategy of rolling this out is completely unclear as to why. We're having this discussion trying to guess the thought process of how this makes sense. One of our trying to get into their heads is maybe it's on the money. Look at all their music videos. They look like they're so amateur. Compare the KK's Priest music videos to Judas Priest videos.
Yeah.
Compare the Iron Maiden. So when we talk about Iron Maiden, Judas Priest has even a more mainstream reach than Iron Maiden, because they've got radio hits. They've got Living After Midnight on the radio every day. You got Another Thing Coming on the radio every day. Iron Maiden doesn't have that, and yet they're exponentially farther, so much huger than Judas Priest because of their imagery. Look how they wrote. Look at all their designs of their T-shirts, their beer. It looks cool. The Judas Priest stuff does not look cool. That album cover for Firepower is horrible. I would never buy a T-shirt that had that on it. And so that's just it's just like I said, it's a litany of one thing after another. No KK in the band. Right. Let's roll out a coffee table book for $500. Like all the things that Perrin, you said, no calculation of following it up. They were very, very similar in Iron Maiden, that they both put out subpar records. The frickin', Priest has had subpar records except for Firepower, and so has Maiden. They followed similar paths, but again, you got to roll. Whoever's making the decisions, whether it's management or the guys in the band, the facts and the results. It's a results-oriented business, And you look at where the results are now, they're getting devastated in the public right now. It's not good. So whatever the reasons are, we are trying to figure out what the reasons
Okay,
are.
well, let's talk about the reasons. So there was a post by management, and I'll keep it at that, publicly on Facebook, and it said something like this: fans need to accept this fans need to accept this because it was a band's decision, something all 5 of them discussed in depth, and all 5 agreed this was the way forward. Andy was not fired. He was always been a hired musician and did a great job, but the band members made this decision. Trust them to have made the right choice. They're all very experienced, professional guys. You know what you're doing. They know what they're doing. Have a little faith.
No, he wasn't fired. He's not playing. How is he not fired? I mean, that's just ridiculous.
And it's
You're
a
not
band's
there, but
decision.
you're not
How much
fired.
how much sway do Richie and Scott really have in the band? Really? Like they had a meeting. Do Scott and Richie have equal say to Rob and Ian? Somehow I don't think so. You know, sometimes I don't think the voting shares are exactly the same. You know, so.
Well, I mean, it was a decision, and the decision A, it could have been they weren't getting along with Andy, or B, it was a financial decision. They couldn't, keep up with the payments. I mean, there's only 2 ways about it, right? It can't be Richie saying, you know what, guys, I just want to play all by myself. I don't want anybody else doing any other guitar. I mean, I don't
He's
see
recovering
that.
from heart surgery. It really shouldn't be the case. You know, you're one guitarist that you have with you. I'm praying Richie's okay. It's really horrible what happened to him at such a young age. But you might want to have some backup out there too. Geez, it's crazy.
Look, I don't think it's going to affect my decision to see the band. I think I'm going to go see the band anyways. I hope you guys are going to come with me, but
Look, we already have tickets. Look, I'm one of those people.
Jimmy.
I've been a Priest apologist for the longest time.
Jimmy, you still think Foreigner is a band, even though they don't.
No,
have a
I
single
don't.
original guy.
No, that's Perrin.
They were great last time I saw. Foreigner. It was amazing.
Look, you guys.
Not a single original guy on stage.
Guys, wait. But so you guys know, except maybe Sean, but I'm a huge Leonard Skinner fan. Leonard Skinner
Oh,
is one of my
Jesus,
favorite
they're not
bands.
even a band anymore.
But
Yeah, go ahead.
but they do what they can to keep the legacy alive. The singer is the deceased singer's brother. Ricky Medlock and Gary Rossington have been involved, although Gary is sick right now, and Damon Johnson. It's like they have competent players. They've always been a 3-guitar band. They're still 3. They don't say let's just have Gary Rossington out there and nobody else to save money. They have guys from Damn Yankees and Black Crows, the Southern Rock ilk, who are kind of as the fill-in players. It makes sense as much as it can make sense. Like, I've never been against bands going out there and making a living and doing what they need to do. I'm as long as the product is good, KK's Priest, Leonard Skinner, Foreigner, that's fine. It's my job as the buyer of a ticket to know what I'm getting. If I'm going to see Journey or Foreigner and I don't know Steve Perry's not there, I don't know that Lou Graham's not there, I'm an idiot, and that's my fault. Now, if the promoter is putting a picture of Sebastian Bach of Skid Row up in front of the club, and that's what he's selling, well, that's kind of dirty business. But these bands, it's legit. My bigger problem here is Judas Priest is not a foursome; it's a fivesome. So it could be a new young player like Richie was. It could be a known name brand guy that'll make us go, it's kind of cool. John Sykes.
All right. On that note, Stefan, if they were to turn around and say, you know what, let's bring somebody else on stage, who would you like to see replace Andy Sneap, who replaced KK Downing?
In my opinion, I've seen all the quiz, the polls, the polls. I don't really care. At this point, I think Priest doesn't need a big name. They need a competent name, somebody who will blend in with Faulkner, somebody who will do dual lead, not just the last tour where it was rhythm plus Faulkner doing the solos. We want dual leads, which is their sound. For me, I would be okay with taking an obscure guy right out of Guitar Academy who knows how to do it.
What Manowar did. Tribute band.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody who has the skills, the
Some
stage
young punk.
presence.
Yes.
and the talent to perform to the level of Judas Priest.
All right,
No young player has ever heard the sound of a band.
Frank says George Lynch, Richie's father-in-law.
Yeah, George
What do you
is
think?
Richie's
What do you
father-in-law.
think about that, Sean? Does George Lynch fit into Judas Priest? I love George Lynch. I love the guy, right? He's a one guitarist band kind of guy.
I got the perfect guy.
Who?
Okay. The perfect guy to fit in is Hank Sherman from Merciful Fate.
Okay.
Hank Sherman is a humongous Judas Priest fan. His whole he's all about early Judas Priest. That's his whole why he started playing guitar. He loves Judas Priest. He's also, even though I'm not happy with Hank Sherman right now, I'm still giving him the job.
That's good of you. That's nice of you.
Not only does he love Judas Priest, he can play his ass off. He would be incredible writing music with them too. He's the riff king, man. And he would bring some heavy metal street cred straight into the band again. All those hardcore freaking Merciful Fate fans. I mean, that is a legacy name that would be, people would get totally freaking fired up about. And after that, I would say my boy Roy Z. And after that, I would say, hey, they've already stolen all my other band members. Get Casey Trask from Cave and the Three Tremors.
Look at you pimping them all out. How about you, Perrin? I'm getting like Michael Schenker. I'm getting let's see.
That'll go well.
Metal Mike,
I'm
of
sure.
course. Nita Strauss. Michael Denner. Michael Denner. No, you don't think Michael Denner? He's a good guitar player.
He doesn't love Judas Priest. I mean, he loves Judas Priest, but not like Hank. I mean, Hank is all about Judas Priest.
I love Hank. Hank's great. Kai Hansen. There's no way Kai Hansen would do that. But
guys, stop building super groups. It's silly.
John
frankly.
Sykes. Okay, well, if he ever comes out of hiding, then I guess John Sykes.
So here's the obvious answer.
Don't give us a top 10 list here. We just need one or two.
No, but first of all, no one's saying it because the ship has sailed. But KK, guys,
that's the obvious. That's the obvious choice.
And I'll give you another one in a second. But here's the thing, guys. Do you know how many bands that don't like each other are out there on tour? Yeah. I can name you a whole bunch of bands.
Every band.
Yeah, but like Van Halen on their last tour, David Lee Roth had his own bus and was in a different hotel than the rest of them. Poison, Bret Michaels hate each other. I can, Tommy Lee and Motley Crue hate each other. Like a lot of big bands don't see each other till they get to the stage. So the obvious answer, if this wasn't going to happen, was make the fans happy on your 50th anniversary tour. Bring back KK. You don't even need to get along. You just need to meet on stage for a couple hours every night, maybe for a sound check and the occasional meeting. So that's the obvious thing, because hell, even Maiden, guess what, guys? There's a couple of camps in Maiden. So
I don't believe that.
Yeah, well, there is.
I don't want to believe that.
That's why I called Ripper before the show. I go, hey, man, KK's Priest is not touring. Sean L, I could break some news here. The drummer from, Cage and KK's Priest, he's jumping on the Ross the Boss tour as the drummer. So they're going to be, they're not doing anything during that touring period. So I was asking Ripper, I'm like, hey man, is there any chance that, and I don't think that anybody knows, but maybe that's still something out there. That would be a strong way to salvage this PR nightmare that they're in. I mean, that's again, I went to Priest, Manowar, and Merciful Fate, all saying no.
I would go to Gus G, man. My friend Gus G. I think Gus G would be like the perfect fit. I mean, he could do it all.
Then there's the Halford guys, right? There's Metal Mike, and there's Russ Parrish. Russ Parrish, who's really Satchel from Steel Panther, has great chops, and he's been touring for the longest time. Russ Parrish was in Fight. So you have Metal Mike, you have Russ Parrish. There's guys who've played with Halford over the years. Yeah, I don't disagree with that either. So they can easily have an interesting, good, they can have a cheap young gun. They could have a guy who's more high profile, who's going to want to get paid, but really has the chops. Or they can go with the George Lynch, John Sykes route, but I just don't think that would work,
I think Gus G would be the perfect fit.
I think Gus G
could
would
do
be
it all.
great.
Yeah, he'd do it all. You know, he'd look the part, he'd sound the part, he could do it all.
But it's all fantasy, unfortunately. Unfortunately, just and you know what?
I told him to send his application in. I did. I told Gus, send it in.
They're not accepting
Greek,
applications, it would seem. They're not accepting applications.
Yeah.
And I'd love do a Priest. This is the opportunity. Do what Michael Schenker did. Do a Priest fest where you tour with multiple singers and rotating band members. You know, the Michael Schenker Fest tour, when I saw that, it was amazing. You had Robin McCauley, you had Graham Bonnet, you had Gary Barden, you had a set band. This is their opportunity.
It's so amazing. This is like the 50-year tour, and it keeps diminishing. The less and less guys. Pretty soon it's just going to be Rob. What? Rob Halford with a tambourine pretty soon. Yeah.
But imagine you had Rob doing most of the show. You had a Ripper coming in, do a couple of songs, and maybe do a duet in the encore. Imagine that you had KK and Richie, and then Glenn makes an appearance at the end doing what he can do. Yeah. And you have the happy storybook ending that everybody would love, you know?
Yeah. Just never, there's never a happy story. That's the problem. And so
they've always been dicks about this.
Go, Sean, what?
So Manowar did that for, one show. I was there at that one where they had Ross at the Earthshaker. That would have been something, again, it's not only is it satisfy the fans, but it's a money maker. It is a freaking, a cash machine. Like, who is making these decisions and what are they based on? It's a freaking mind boggler, man.
Look, there's a lot of pettiness at play too. Let's face it. I mean, look again, back to Maiden. Bruce graciously played some Blaze songs that the fans like. There was no pettiness. Nobody was mad at Blaze. They're like, hey, yeah, Sign of the Cross is a pretty cool song. Bruce is going to do it. Klansman's a pretty cool song. Bruce will do it. But because of pettiness, Priest, you can barely find the Ripper albums. Rob has never done, Hell is Home or Bloodstained or whatever. And, just a nod. Again, when they did the Epitaph tour and they apparently did a song from every album. Oh, no, they didn't. And here you have a 50th anniversary tour. I don't know, guys. It's just, there seems to be such a disdain for their history, be it KK, Ripper, or anyone else. This was such an opportunity with the 50-year anniversary to kind of do something and end it well. And I know when Maiden rides into the sunset, they'll do it well. And Priest is just not going to ride into the sunset well.
So, okay. So let's just go around the table fast. Will you still, if they remain a 4-piece, will you still go see them live? Steph?
I'll say, I have pit tickets in LA. I go mostly, obviously I love the songs and everything, but being, a Halford wannabe, I go to hear the Halford voice primarily. Of course I'm going to go, but I mean, between this and Merciful Fate not having Michael Denner, it frickin' sucks. And these bands somehow need to be punished for these.
By the way, I did ask Rob Halford. I go, what do you think about the new 3 Tremors? And he said, yeah, I like it. I like it. Cool. I did that for you. I did that for you.
I appreciate that, man. That was awesome.
Stefan?
Look, my ticket was bought 6 months ago, or probably more than that, and the show is in another 4 months. If it happens, could I get a refund right now? I don't think so. Would I? Here's a tough part. This is a show where I'm taking my daughter. Her and I have been going to see a lot of metal shows in the past 10, 15 years. She's never seen Priest. I was about to introduce her to Judas Priest. She was more interested in Sabaton. And I said, stick around for Priest. So Sabaton's off the bill. And now we're left with Priest. And
Queensryche, too.
Yeah, I'm talking about the original show. Okay. And I said to her, bad news, Sabaton's not there, but there's this band Queensryche from my days that you might enjoy. But then I thought, wait a second, that's Queensryche with some really heavy lineup changes from the beginning too, which I never really enjoyed. And then Priest, which is not the Priest I want to introduce my daughter to. Maybe, just maybe I'll get my money back.
Todd is a million times better singer than Jeff Tate right now. I mean,
Oh,
Yeah,
when
right
you're
now,
when
I
you
know,
Stefan,
but
when you're gonna go see Todd, you're gonna say, "Oh, you know what? It's a good thing they changed singers." That's all I'm gonna say.
it was great. I went and just saw him. I was like 2 feet from him. There's hardly anybody at this show in a casino. I took my hat off and he recognized me. He's like, Sean, you can sing this Queen of the Reich. People are looking at me like, who is this dude? And Todd keeps talking.
Does he still play Queen of the Reich?
Yeah, for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
The
yeah.
last-
Right
last
off
show
the
was
record, my
amazing.
friend. Right off
Todd
the
made
record.
them a heavy metal band again.
Because
Todd made
my
them a metal
very
band again.
first Queen's Right show could never be beaten, and that was when they opened for Twisted Sister in 1983.
Yeah.
In a time, for me, that was the best Queen's Right show I ever saw, and I saw them half a dozen times after that. So it's hard to beat that first, oomph, you know.
Well,
Can't
yeah, that first.
But okay,
band-
I've never watched Todd, so maybe I'll be impressed.
Pleasantly surprised. Pleasantly surprised. Parent,
Awesome.
let me
yeah.
guess. You're going.
Well, look,
You're the Leonard Skinner guy. Whoever, there's nobody left, and you're still going.
no,
So
I
we
mean,
know
look,
what you're.
we have tickets, so yes, I'm going.
Yeah.
But look, even let's say I didn't have tickets,
Mm-hmm.
I would have a hard time knowing that Judas Priest is playing like 10 minutes from my house and I'm not there. So just like we all drive by a car crash and we kind of have to look at it, although we probably shouldn't, I would have a hard time not going. There's probably a limit to what I would pay, but I already have tickets. I love Queenstrike. I love the Todd version of Queenstrike, and they're opening this show. So yeah, I go to hear the songs, and it'll probably be the last time I would see Rob live, and any chance I can get to see Queenstrike, I'll take. So yeah, I'm a metal fan. Call me a sucker. I'm not happy, I'm kind of holding my nose and doing it a little bit, but yeah, I'm gonna be
like
there.
you guys. I'm gonna go because I think I want to go see Judas Priest, and I couldn't care less if Andy was there or not. And I think there's gonna be a fifth member. They're gonna put another guitarist on stage. I really do feel that.
No, it's
I
going to
just
be a
think-
computer playing. That's going to be the fifth member. The computer playing a track.
I think they're gonna, after all this, not the show, but just all the outrage from all the fans, I think they're gonna have to revisit it. It's still a few months away. I'm not sure when it starts exactly, in April, I believe. I think they're gonna have to revisit it.
I'm going 50-50 on this. I
Okay.
think the fan outrage will eventually reach the band, and smarter head will prevail. Maybe maybe what if promoters start saying, yeah, about that show, I'm not really too sure anymore about the guarantee you're asking for, because fans are not reacting well. I'm not sure this show will sell this time. And when they start seeing this, watch them find that little kid willing to play for cheap.
All right, so I'm gonna ask everybody out there now. You text us. If you've bought tickets, are you still going, or do you plan on going and buying tickets? So we'll see what the survey says.
You can't get a refund because of a change in a band member. It's not something that's in the fine print that you could do. You
I
can't
think
call up.
Stefan thought that was in the fine print.
You can't call up Ticketmaster and say, hey, Millie left Millie Vanilli, so now it's only Vanilli, so I want my money back. Like,
All
it
right,
doesn't-
Queen Badisha saying if they replace the guitarist, he better be just as good as Richie, but Richie will still be there. But yes, I guess same caliber. I'm out, not going. That's Lucifer's words. They cannot do a four-piece. That's Scott. Yes, going, but they need a fifth member. That's BFGS. Merrick is saying not going. Cheryl saying I bought mine 6 months ago. I am still going. So you can see a 50-50 split there.
And here's the problem and why they were stupid from a business standpoint again. The advance sales for the tour are soft. If you go on Ticketmaster and look at any other shows, there's a lot of dark blue dots that show the available seats. So the advance sales are not good, mostly to do with the world that we live in and a lot of other things. But if they thought announcing this now was going to make their advance sales go better, or their walk-up for that matter, like, again, I'm a management guy. The management of this is just maddening. It makes no sense to me. It's gonna hurt your advanced sales. It's gonna make promoters say, "Shit, just walk away with half the guarantee, and maybe we'll just cut our losses."
Some people were thinking, oh, it's because it's a big plan. They're going to bring KK out. That's why they've announced it this way. And I don't.
The tour starts in
I don't
6
think
weeks. So. I'm pretty sure they would have announced it already if that was happening.
Yeah. Maybe they're shutting down the Canadian leg of the tour or the Canadian part of the tour.
There's only 4 Canadian dates at the end. If they happen, they happen. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah.
But it's
so
like
I guess they're looking at the bottom line right now. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. You have anything else to add?
Sean, was nice meeting you. I just sent you a friend's request on Facebook.
Okay, I'll eliminate some friends to get down below the
Yeah,
5,000.
he'll see who needs to go to get you under the limit.
Just eliminate those guys from Nigeria. There, one or two of those guys.
Yeah, I got a way to make you really rich overnight.
I just wanted to say, the only way this will get remedied again is like Perrin said, with the pocketbook. If you look at the threads, I've looked at hundreds of comments, and 20% of them, 100% of them are all negative, or at least 99%. But 20% of them are saying, "I'm not going," or "I want a refund." I mean, that's where people are at with this. That even if it was 10%, it's not good. Especially parents saying ticket sales are already soft. The venues, the LA one, they moved the LA one from the Microsoft to this freaking place I've never even heard of, and it looks like a movie. It looks like a small IMAX movie theater.
So again, I think the whole premise of this show was to, I guess, explain our frustrations and the fans' frustrations, to emphasize that, and hopefully by this and everybody's reaction and their comments and all their feedback, they will get another guitarist, and hopefully that guitarist will be Hank Sherman.
People would freak over that.
I love Hank Sherman.
That's the move right there.
That's
but you know what? They're not going to do it.
Or Gus G.
It's going to be no guitar player. It's going to be some backing track. And,
we don't know that. We don't know that yet.
I'm telling you. What about the extra freaking stress and work that Richie's got to do? I mean, he just came off a heart reconstruction, and, I'm sure he's feeling great and everything, but now he's playing twice the leads. And
to your point, again, a public post made by management. Why not wait to see them live and decide? They aren't recording any backing tracks or any of the other things that are being said here. They know exactly what they're doing, so try and trust them. So to your point, there's no backing track.
I don't
really.
Trust
Are they
them.
Rehearsing right now? Are they rehearsing as a 4-piece? Because they're so.
Look, I'm just giving the other side here. I'm just giving the other side.
They all live in different places. There's a lot. I just don't see that they're even together yet rehearsing for the tour. So how are they even working out these parts right now? How are they working? So I mean, again, man. Sorry, Jane. I don't manage Judas Priest. I don't manage Judas Priest, but I've been around this a while, and I can put 2 and 2 together. I'm pretty sure they're not even rehearsing yet. So I don't know.
Again, we love Judas Priest. We're doing this show because we love the band and we want to see them prevail and make some great music, perform great live, and give us that one last tour that we'll always remember and we could pass down to our children and our grandchildren in great memories. And on another note, Stefan, it's strange enough, I want to tell you this before, like when my son, he wanted to go see Kiss when he was younger. He didn't even know who was in the band. He didn't know that Ace was replaced and Peter Criss was replaced. He just wanted to go see Kiss. To him, Kiss is just Kiss. So even for your daughter, Judas Priest will still be Judas Priest because there's no sort of attachment to KK or Glenn or anyone else, right? It's just seeing that band, right?
If Kiss went on stage as a trio without makeup, your son would know.
Well, I mean, you can't have Kiss as a trio, though.
But Eddie
Trunk, you can't have Priest as a quartet.
That's the same thing.
Eddie Trunk talks about that all the time, though. Bands, it's all about the name, and people don't even, know or care who's in the band. They just see Foreigner and they hear the songs, and 90% of the people that are there are not tuned in enough. They're still selling out. Just like you said, Leonard Skinner. I remember seeing Skid Row open for somebody, and Johnny Solinger with his long blonde hair. Nobody there didn't even know that it wasn't Sebastian Bach.
Casual fans don't know.
I think that like the younger generation, they're not us, because like guys like us, we've sort of followed it from the start. We know who the members are. We know who's changed and who hasn't changed. But the younger generation, they care less about that because they don't have that history with the bands that we did. So on that note, guys, thank you so much for all your input. So appreciate it so much. Thank you for jumping on. Sean, always a pleasure. Stefan, Perrin, thank you so much. We'll see you guys, talk to you guys again very, very soon. So this is Sunday on a Tuesday.
Thanks,
Thanks,
you.
boss.